Hey, what is up everybody? It's Raider Boneded here with another video. And uh, for those of you that don't know, which I don't think any of you would, um, unless you guys know me in real life, I'm actually pursuing the Cisco certification exams. Um, I'm starting off with a CC ENT, and maybe about 2-3 weeks later, I'm going to go ahead and attempt the CCNA. I'm going to be graduating from college in about a month from right now, and I want to have at least a CCNA certification added on my resume, considering that I actually want to go into networking as what I want to pursue, and that's what I want to specialize in when I enter the market. So, I figured to help myself and also help you guys as an audience to go ahead and give you guys some basic tutorials on how switching and routing works. So I'm not going to go super into detail. CBT Nuggets has a uh, uh, really good tutorials by Jeremy, as well as Chris Bryant Advantage, which I've used as well as the Todd Lamley's study guide for the CCNA is excellent. And I mean, all of those books, that book and those training courses are really good. I would recommend to do it in this order. To try to do the CBT Nuggets first. Right now they're about $99 a month, and I think that's really good. And so $99, you could probably go through all of Jeremy's videos in about 2 weeks if you dedicate about a video a day. So do that for 2 weeks. During that time, order the book, the Tom Lanley book. Every time you go through a section with Jeremy, go ahead and read the chapter on it and reinforce that knowledge. Then I would recommend doing the Chris Bryant Advantage. That's $44 as well. Not as well. It's $44 for the entire package, and it's a study guide and it's a whole bunch of videos on Udemy.com. And he goes more into detail about certain things. He's a good instructor. It's just more fast-paced. It's a boot camp. It's just kind of more of a refresher, to be honest with you. So that's what I used him for. Right now, as you can see, I have a program called Putty. You can download it for free, and that's how I'm going to access my my switch. So let me show you how to get to that first. What I want to show you though here, I'm connected to a Cisco switch. The one that I recommend for routing is the Cisco 2950 switch. So let me go ahead and pull out a video, not a video, this one, a picture of one, images, and they look something like this, like that. It's a 2950. It's like 25, maybe $30 on Amazon. I'm sorry, on eBay. Be sure that you buy from a good company that doesn't charge you a lot of shipping. I have a rollover cable running from the back of console, running from the back of my switch, from the console port to a adapter on my computer with a serial port, and that's that communication, the COM port that you see I'm connecting to. What do I mean by the rollover cable? Rollover cable. Let me look that up for you. It's a cable that looks something like let's see if I can find a good image here. Yeah, it looks something like this. And this RJ45 connector goes to the back of the console port in the back of my switch, and this goes to my computer. But since my computer doesn't have a serial port on it, I had to buy a USB to serial port adapter, and yeah, that's it. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to show you guys how to find out what COM port that you're using here. Let me bring up Putty here. So go to your libraries, right click on my computer and go to properties. Then you go to device manager, and here under the ports you'll have your COM port. So USB to serial, it's COM port 7 for me. So that's what I'm going to connect to. So I'm going to bring up PuTTY. It's a serial interface and it's COM port 7. So that's all I need to do in order to get in. And then should there you go. So let me go ahead and log in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a configure terminal. Do a write erase command. Do yes, or reload. Save no. Alright. So here I'm going to go ahead and show you the startup there. Ignore what I just did, but pretty much all I did there was just kind of delete everything I have on the switch at this point. Alright, so here's a boot up. It starts up the bootloader. As you can see, it's a Cisco 2950 router with version 12.1. Has a MAC address. Right now it's going to the flash and it's opening up the image I have, which is the 16K image. Has some stuff here that it's telling you about Cisco. And now that all the post is passed, it should go to initialize, and we should be good to go pretty soon. Okay, so once the switch is completely up and going, you're going to be asked here whether you want. Ignore this here. This is some more stuff that came up afterwards. We'll take care of that at a later time. But it asks, would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Because I'm doing the CCNT, pretty much every Cisco exam, you're not going to be asked to go through this initial configuration. The short answer as to why is because it's going to ask you sometimes for some things that are basic, and you want to go more into depth about what are the things that you want configured and what you don't want configured. So I'm just going to type N, or you can just type N or no. So return to get started, click enter, and there. Now we are on our switch. So here we go. So I have this little notepad here, and it's going to show us our order that we're going to go in that I think is a good order. First we want to set up security for privileged mode, for the console port, and for the V2I ports. So if you don't know what that is, I highly recommend that you read up on it. Check out CBT Nuggets. I'm just kind of here to go through it relatively quickly, and if you need something quick. So alright, so first we gotta, right now we're on user mode. You can tell because of that greater than sign. We want to go into enable mode. You can either type EN or type enable. Another thing you can do is you can try you can type enable and then click on tab. So if you type ENA and then tab, it completes a command for you. Okay, so first things first is we need a password. So we want to enable a secret. But before we do that, we want to go to global config mode, and the way you do that is by typing configure terminal. Click enter, and you know you're in global config when you have this there. It has that config. And from here, then you want to go ahead and click on, type in enable secret, and then here is the password, Cisco. So crappiest password, but if you're in a home lab, it's good, so you don't forget it. So now there you go. You got your enable secret password. You can also type in the enable password. However, it's not encrypted, so I'd rather just skip it and not use it. However, on older routers, you have to. but I'm going to go ahead and go over what to do in those cases in a little bit. Alright, so now we want to secure the console port. So we want to go to line console and console 0 because it's the only one we have. And here we want to go ahead and set a password. So password Cisco and then log in. Okay, so that way it asks for a login every time we go into the console port. Okay, we also want to go ahead, now that we're here, is to logging synchronous. And what this does is if a command, sometimes we get messages like this, and sometimes we're in the middle of a sentence and it kind of separates what we're typing. This kind of negates that, and it allows us to it pretty much puts a message there and it copy pastes what you've typed into the next line so it doesn't bother you. So I like doing that. And then I'm going to do an exec timeout command for 30 minutes and 0 seconds. I think that's pretty fair. So at that point you can go ahead and escape that. And you see what it just did there. It kicked me to the next line without interrupting me. So I'm going to do a configure terminal. So there we go. We got the console port set up. So now we want the line, the VTY ports. I want to set up ports 1 through 4. I think it's 0, not 1 through 4, 0 through 4. I believe it's 0 through 15. I really just need 1, but I'm just going to do 0 through 4. And here it's the same thing, password. I'm going to go ahead and type Cisco and login, logging synchronous. Logging synchronous. Oh, the way I did that is by clicking the up and down arrows. It shows you all of the stuff that you've done in the past. So there is the exec timeout. Go ahead and click that, and that's fine. So exit, and that'll take you back to the last mode you were in. So there we go. We got our security done. The last thing that I want to do, but first I want to show you the show running config, and this is what shows you what your RAM, or right now what we're writing to is a RAM, so our configuration is only saved on the RAM. So here it is. Our enable secret password here is coded by is encrypted by MD5, and that is our password. It's encrypted, so that's good. However, if we go further down and we go into the line console, we see that password is Cisco, and password is Cisco for the VTY lines, and that's a bad thing. We don't want that to be out there like that. So what we're going to do is go back to the global config mode, and then we want to go to services, or service, password encryption, and then hit that and go back again and show running config. And then if we go ahead and show that part again, now we have it encrypted. However, I wouldn't take too much comfort in this kind of encryption because it's not very good. This kind of encryption prevents people from looking above your shoulder, or somebody that's not too experienced to see this and be like, well, that's a fake password, so, or I can't figure out that encrypted password, so whatever. But you could actually go online and figure out how to unencrypt this password very easily. If somebody gets a hold of your configuration, that could be very bad. Alright, so let's go ahead and save our progress. Here under the switch, you can do two things. You can hit right, or you can do copy running to startup config. And that's the way Cisco recommends you do it. That's the proper way to do it. Destination file name, keep it the same, so just click enter. It's going to build the configuration, and that's it. So now if you show the startup config, it's exactly the same, and when you restart your switch, it'll boot up to this. So previously, if we were to have rebooted our switch, it would have gone back to exactly the way it was before. So next on the list is to do our banner and our host name. Those are both very easy. If we go back to the configure terminal mode, the global config mode, we can go ahead and type banner, and then MOTD, which is message of the day, and then type any character. I like typing the bracket like that. Click enter, and then I put a little bit of space, some stars. Says unauthorized access is prohibited. Go ahead and add the stars. You don't want to make this extremely large, just something very simple, because if not, it can greatly impact your switch performance. So, and you notice at the end, I just put that same delimiting character, and that ended the switch, the banner. So you won't see that. You will only see this without that bracket at the end when you log in initially. So now the host name, I want to call this switch 1, so SW1, and you see that the host name has changed. Alright, so that's good. Let me go ahead and save our progress. Here, copy, run, start. Okay. Configure terminal. Okay, back into global config mode. Next thing we need to do is to get the VLAN up and going. So we want to set an IP address to the VLAN. Right now it's actually shut down. So if I were to go and show you the interface, show IP interface brief. The VLAN is administratively down, which means that we have to power it on. If it's down, it just means that the line is down and it's logically down. Administratively means that it's actually turned off, and we have to turn it on by manually doing so. Let's go ahead and go to configure terminal, and then go ahead and set up the interface. So what we do is we type interface VLAN 1. Okay, so there we're in config interface. What we want to do is type IP address, and we want to set this up as 10.10.1. We're going to go ahead and set this up as .1. If we type the question mark, it'll show you what's next in the command, and we need an IP subnet mask. So for this case, we're going to do simple /24, which is 255.255.255.0. Go and do that, and that's that. The next thing is to set up a default gateway. I'm sorry, I have to go back to that section here, to the interface VLAN, because I forgot to turn it on. And the way you turn it on is by typing no shutdown, and what that does, you're going to see a prompt come up pretty soon right there that VLAN 1 is the state has changed to up, so that's good. So now this here, if we do a show running config, a show IP interface VLAN, interface brief, I'm sorry, it's now up, and it's down at this point because I don't have any of the fast Ethernet ports on the actual VLAN. So we're not done yet. So next we have to set up the default gateway, and the way we do that is we configure terminal, and we go to default IP default gateway. Sorry about that, I was messing up at that point. IP default gateway, and we go ahead and type the gateway, and I have a small network diagram, but pretty much the default gateway is the router that's gonna take you out of this network, and that IP address I have planned to be 10.10.10.10. So at this point I have .1.10. Has to be on the same network. So because we're on a /24, these first 3 octets have to be the same. So 10.10.1 the same as 10.10.1, but the IP address of this gateway is going to be .10 as a host. So that's good. And at this point, we can go ahead and copy the starting config to the running config. Oh, I'm sorry, no. The running config to the startup config. You never want to get those messed up, because then you'll be working backwards. Alright, so now we have all these show. Let's go and show IP interface brief. Is a really good command to remember, by the way. We have all these fast Ethernet ports that we need to assign a VLAN to. So you can do that one by one, and I'll show you how to do both. Configure terminal. So that's our last thing. We got to do our interface setup. So we have an interface fast Ethernet. So let's say we wanted to set up 0-1. Well, let me just go ahead and do 0-9, because I know that I have a computer that's connected to it. But first, I actually reminded myself I have to activate the port on that, and I have to manually set it up. So if you can bear with me here, 10. At this point, if you want to connect it to your computer, you can, and you can set the network IP address yourself. So it's going to be 10.10.1.50 for this one, and the default gateway is going to be 10.10.1.10, I think I said. So 10.1.10, and then click OK. Yep. Okay. So that should be good enough to find it in there. Alright, so that changed to the line protocol of Ethernet 09 changed to up, and the line protocol of VLAN changed to up. So there we go. So just by doing that, just turning it on, I have the show IP interface brief. So now I have the my host computer here is the status of it is up, and the line interface, the line protocol is up as well. So that means that's going, and that turned on the line protocol for the VLAN as well. So that means that the VLAN is actually being used. So now what if I want to do it for all of the ports here? So that's really easy. It's just one more thing you have to remember. It's interface fast Ethernet, interface range fast Ethernet 0/1 through 24. So you got to make sure to put range and then fast Ethernet 0/1 through space. You got to put spaces through space 24. So when you do that, you have that, and then because this is a switch, all of the ports are down, but they're not administratively down. You don't actually have to add them into anything. So at this point, they're actually ready to go. There's more things that you can do in here as far as the security goes. You can set up the duplex. You can set up the spanning tree protocol, the speed of each of them, but that's not important at this point. I think this is more than enough. You can also do a switch port here. Let me just switch port. Ooh, that was a mistake. Switch port access. Set the access mode with characteristics of the interface. You can set up port security, things like that. But like I said, I'm not going to go over those things in this video. For now, this is actually all I'm going to do. So I'm going to copy the running config to the startup config, and that should be the end of the configuration. So at this point, we got our entire switch set up in about 25 minutes, really 20 minutes, considering that the beginning was just kind of a explanation of what I was going to do, and what equipment I was using and how I managed to connect to my COM ports, things like that. So yeah, so these 6 easy steps I think are pretty good, pretty essential for getting you to have your switch up and going. So now you have your little network, and the next thing that we're going to move into is our default gateway, which is going to be our first router. And for that, I'm going to be using a 1721 Cisco router. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, be sure to leave a like. It really helps me out. It gives me some feedback in the comments section. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them. And again, I know this was really fast, and it was just something, you know, for those of you that need a quick setup, or if you guys are interested in this. Networking is a really awesome topic when you're talking about IT. I find it really fun, and I hope you guys have found some kind of appreciation in this. So, alright guys, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you all next time.